Hi there, welcome to CGTN. I'm Jinghao, live from Xishuangbanna in southwest China's Yunnan province. Xishuangbanna is a tropical region known for its biological and ethnic diversity. We know that the UN Biodiversity Conference, known as COP15, is underway in Montreal, Canada. And mentioning biodiversity conservation, many people would think this is the responsibility of government or non-government organizations. Actually, individuals can also play an active role in this regard. Today, we will meet a special guest. He's a biologist and economist from Switzerland who spent almost 20 years in Xishuangbanna recreating a rainforest. He will tell us his stories behind this ambitious project. Now let's welcome our special guest, Mr. Gerard.
Thank you, Jinghao.
Burgermeister. Okay, welcome to our show, Gerard.
My pleasure.
So say hello to our audience.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to my small garden forest.
How about showing us around your beautiful forest?
Let's go.
Okay. We can notice that it's called Yourantai, right?
Right.
Your beautiful garden is called Yourantai. First, could you tell us why we call it Yourantai?
My Chinese is not really good, so that I didn't find this name myself. It's my wife, my ex-wife from Taiwan, who got inspiration from an antique Chinese poem. It means something like a terrace where you can forget your worries.
Wow.
So, see, this is the
just
place.
take a look. Just take a look. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's like that we are walking in a rainforest.
In a new forest.
New forest.
In a man-made forest.
So, when did you come to Xishuangbanna, move here?
Oh, that's a long story. But you see, when we came, this place was actually just a rubber plantation. And there were only rubber here.
Only rubber trees?
Only rubber trees, absolutely nothing else.
How many trees? How many rubber trees?
There were about 700 rubber trees.
700?
Yeah. And
wow.
No house, no path, no wall, no electricity, no water, no internet, no nothing. Just rubber tree and grass.
Wow.
And when you look now, it's really quite different.
Yeah. It's hard to believe that you just created a rainforest at your home.
Well, you can do that. You can do that. It's not simple, but you can do it. This is the demonstration.
Yes.
I don't even know how many species of plants we have here, but trees I know. We have almost 300 species of trees. And so that means from one species, only one, who came from Brazil, we now have about 300 species of trees, plus numberless of other plants. And this is really nice.
Yeah.
And of course, some of them really get big.
What kind of tree? What kind of tree is this?
This is called a rain tree.
Rain tree.
It's actually not a local tree. It was imported centuries ago in the whole area. They also have it in Laos, in Thailand, and in Xishuangbanna.
How old is it?
This tree is only 19 years old.
Only 19 years old,
Yeah.
but it looks so big. It's giant.
Everything you see here, apart from a few old rubber trees, is new.
Yeah, so that's why you call it's a new forest, actually.
Absolutely.
Oh, we know that actually Xishuangbanna is a popular tourist destination. What have attracted you here to Banna? I know that before you came here, you lived in Beijing, right, for several years.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's one of the reasons, because I was living in Beijing, and I thought I wanna get out of big cities and get closer to nature. One of the reasons why Xishuangbanna is great is because of the climate. This climate allows the nature to develop in an extremely rich fashion.
Yes.
A bit like Central America, where I also lived many years.
Oh.
And the biodiversity we can see here is a direct result of climate. And this is one of the reasons. Another one is people are really nice. Not only the the ethnic diversity, the cultural diversity, but the people are really nice.
Yes.
Since many years here, I have a lot of friends here.
And it's warm in winter.
Like yeah, well,
in
okay.
this season.
I'm not against cold. I like snow.
You just mentioned that after you came here, you cut down most of the trees.
Yeah,
right.
Most of the rubber trees.
But you kept several of them, right? You kept some of them.
I left quite many, but that's relatively complex, I think, because I wanted both to keep a little bit of shade and keep something to attract the birds, for instance. And I also kept rubber trees on the periphery of the ground to protect us against the neighbor, noise pollution or even visual pollution, and to, in other parts, also to stabilize the slope. Oh, you can see here, this one with a lamp, this tree is an old rubber tree.
This is a rubber tree, right?
Yes, yes. This tree is about, say, 55 years old.
55 years. Why did you keep it? Why did you leave it here?
Because I just said I wanted to keep a few of them. I didn't want to have the only bare land. We had barely, just red soil with nothing after we removed the rubber trees.
Okay.
And then I needed a little bit of shadow, and I needed also something to attract the birds. Very important. Because the birds and the bats also bring seeds from outside. So they help me to recreate the forest.
Yeah, okay, that's actually what I want to ask you. How did you start this ambitious project? Because it seems not easy to create such a big forest.
Actually, creating the forest wasn't that difficult. Building the houses, doing the rest of the project was a big challenge. We now have guests down there, and maybe it's not the best idea to go right now.
Okay.
We'll go to see some other houses.
Sure.
What I was telling you is about the difficulty of doing the forest. The forest was, in a way, the easiest part. But what you need is time. You need patience and perseverance and a little bit of knowledge. But the knowledge actually comes with the project. You accumulate knowledge, you accumulate experience. The magic is time. You have to know how to let nature and time work.
So time and preference are the secrets behind this, right?
Behind the forest, yes.
Of course.
If you can leave nature and time work together, you can really get miracles.
Yeah, you absolutely have to spend a lot of time taking care of these trees, especially when they are still young, they are seedlings, right?
I was not thinking about my time. I was thinking about nature's time. Because depending on the place, you can just let nature act and give it time. You don't need to put a lot of input. Shall we go? Okay.
Okay, let's move on. Actually, over 20 years, how many tree species have you got here in Yourantai?
From one species of tree, the rubber tree, now we have almost 300. So it's really nice. Moreover, look. For instance, here, you see this? See this tree? This is ironwood. Very good wood, but very slow growing. And you see you have a lot of small one here. So they are all part of the second generation.
Second generation.
The father is here.
That's its father, right?
And the father is already maybe 15, 16 years old, and it's still a relatively small tree. So this grows very, very slowly. But the nice thing is that we have already the second generation coming.
Wow. Already second generation.
Many trees, many of those 300 species of trees now are blooming and fruiting, and after a couple of years, the seedlings are coming up.
I mean, how many tree species are there in your forest right now?
I said about 300 tree
300?
species.
Wow.
Which is more than the whole of Switzerland.
Really?
Way more.
Wow. 300, that's
Let me
marvelous.
show you something else here.
Oh, okay.
I used to have my own tree nursery, but we don't do it so much anymore. So I keep a few young trees here and there because I keep planting trees. Now, you have like 3 different species here. The really interesting one that I want to introduce to you is this little guy. You have 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Then you have one that is a bit more developed here with new leaf. Those are the young baby of a giant tree, the Dipterocarp family, which in Southeast Asia are emergent giants that grow above the canopy in the forest.
Wow.
And I planted a few of them as a small sapling about 15, 16 years ago. And now, since 2-3 years, they are fruiting, and this is the first year. I have the seedling, I have the baby, so it's also the second generation. And those are future giants. It's really nice.
When we talk about your trees, these seedlings, you look very, very happy and excited. Maybe you just treat them as your very good friends.
Well, they're a little bit my babies.
Your babies.
I really like them, you know. I give them the condition to grow.
Okay.
And I check on them and I see whether they're happy or not. Of course, I don't really take care of every single tree, but I take care of the whole thing, and I try to increase the biodiversity. So I plant the trees because the trees are important. The trees are the one that creates, they change the climate, they give you shadow. Then the temperature change, then the humidity change, because the sun here is really strong. And when the temperature, humidity change, you also have the litter, the leaves of the tree fall down. Then we don't disturb the soil. We let the litter rot, and little by little, but very slowly, the soil gets better.
Oh, okay.
And that is really very, very important.
So, when you first came here, you said that all of them are rubber trees and cut most of them. So how did you start? Where did you get the seeds or the saplings?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just mentioned that birds brought some, right?
That was one of the source. But you know, I had only rubber trees. I had only one species. I had almost nothing. That species was from Brazil. So basically, whatever I would add would really be a plus. So what I did is that I went to visit all the tree nursery of the region, buying all kind of trees, including some of the state-owned nursery, special nursery with forest trees. Also, I had friends giving me a small seedling from the village or from the forest nearby. Even my staff would bring some small seedlings from up in the mountain.
Your staff are local villagers, right?
Most of them, yes.
Okay.
From different minority.
Yeah, I think they have a lot of resources because, you know, as you just mentioned, Xishuangbanna is, you know, it's known for its biodiversity. It has a lot of tropical plant species, right, here in this region.
Yeah, but of course the lower elevation now has been kind of, I would say, invaded by rubber plantation. Because the lower elevation as a climate is favorable to rubber plantations. Starting from the early 60s, a lot of the forests, Xishuangbanna forests, were cut down to plant rubber trees. And it went on and on and on until maybe 5 years ago, and now they are a problem. Those, not only we have lost a lot of forests, but the rubber plantation themselves are a problem.
Okay.
But coming back to your question of how did I get the seedling and the seed, I would also, maybe we don't go this path. We go the other one.
Okay,
there.
sure.
Because I have dogs down there by the kitchen. So let's go that path.
Okay. Wow, this one is also big. This one.
This is a wild fig tree, but not a local species that was planted at the beginning. But in order to let other trees grow, this got really big and have several others. So this one we have been pruning, and now he didn't like it. I think he's about dead, which is okay. We have many. You see the root here?
Yeah.
Those roots are from his brother.
Wow.
From this tree, which is also
its roots are sprawling here.
Yeah, the fig trees have terrible roots, so you cannot put them just beside your house. It's a little bit risky.
Okay.
So this is the brother, and the brother I'm keeping.
This one?
No, the big one.
Oh, this big tree. Okay. This is, I think it's a typical tropical plant.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything is here. This one is a coconut.
Yeah.
This one is another kind of palm tree, relatively rare, that grow very big. This one is interesting. I don't remember the English name, but it is famous in the Buddhist religion because it blooms yellow flowers, very beautiful kind of a sunlight color. Wow. And they used to plant it just by the temples.
Wow, it's beautiful.
It's even better when it blooms. And this is the oldest house we built.
Oh, you built?
We built this
so
house.
all
we
the
built
houses
this house
here...
in 2013. No, what do I say? 2003, when I was still in Beijing, before I moved here. My wife built this one with the Dai carpenters.
Is this a typical Dai residence? Dai architecture? We know that...
As the other house, we use the traditional wooden house of the Dai people.
Yeah.
We use the material, we use the technology, we use even the people, the Dai carpenters. But our design is different.
Oh, because we know that Xishuangbanna is mostly inhabited by ethnic Dai people, and their architecture, their houses are very distinctive, right? Very unique.
We can go and have a look, and then we work further. We work further to see.
So you mean you built a design and built all the houses on your own
with the Dai carpenters, of course.
Oh, sure.
And also some hand carpenter coming from Sichuan.
Ah.
So the upper story here is the bedroom, but I think it's locked right now. Come, I show you. Below there is a terrace.
Okay.
So you have two terraces. You have one terrace up where there can be sunshine, and one terrace down that is sheltered from the rain.
I know that you have
from the rain and
several
from the sunshine.
guest rooms here, right? In Yourantai. So you have several guest rooms here, right?
Yes, because this place is a guest house, of course. So to do a forest is nice, but you cannot just spend money. So we needed a bit of an income, so we decided to create this place as a special bed and breakfast or mini eco resort.
Yeah.
So this old house, the first house that we built, is now a guest house. With my wife, we used to live here the first year where we were building the rest.
Okay. It's so cool. It's just like living in the forest.
It is. It is. But in most of those trees we planted, this guy, very big one, we planted. This tree gives a small fruit, The local people call it Galileo. It's a Sterculiaceae, I think, if I well remember. The fruit is a little bit sour, but with a special taste, and the Dai people love to make dish with that fruit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can do chicken with these fruits. It has a very nice taste.
Wow.
Famous dish among the Dai.
Gerard, it seems that trees grow very fast here, right?
It depends which species.
Oh,
You've seen this guy is very big
Yes.
and already quite tall, but the ironwood we saw closer to the entrance is very slow growing. I have some that are even slower. I planted maybe 12 years ago and they're only 2 meters tall. So it's not every species.
Okay.
And also it will depend where they are, because the soil is not the same depending where you are in the forest. Some places have a better soil. Some places the soil has been disturbed too much or it's really too dry. Depends on the exposure. Let's go and see the river house.
Wow.
Which is kind of
Sounds very cool.
the clubhouse and the restaurant of our little
Wow, just take a look.
guest house.
It looks very special. The design is very special. Let's go.
Let's go. Be careful. This
Okay.
this staircase is not flat. This stone staircase was made by my old Dai carpenter. He's not used to flatten stones.
Just tell us, how does it feel to live in such wooden house? How does it feel to live in such wooden house?
It's very nice to live in wooden houses. The feel is you live in a natural kind of material. But another thing is those houses are designed to be, how would you say, very well ventilated. There isn't a clear separation between inside and outside. So that you always have about the same temperature inside and outside, which is completely different from the city in the north. You can only do that because the climate here allows you to do that. But it's really nice. Come. Or do you want to see the house upstairs?
Is it okay? Is it convenient?
There is someone.
Yeah,
maybe we go
is
later.
Okay.
I think there is a guest right now.
Yeah.
Oh, talking about biodiversity, I have a question for you.
Sure.
You see this black plastic here?
Yeah. What's it
Why?
used for?
Try to guess.
Maybe.
You
let
see,
me
there is a wooden ceiling and then a black plastic. So obviously it's not to prevent
Maybe it's to prevent
powder or rain or. Hey Pierre.
Maybe it's used to prevent like water or dust or something. No.
There is a wooden ceiling on top. No. This is linked to biodiversity. We live here within a forest. You've seen there are a lot of fig trees, wild fig trees. Actually, we have maybe 20 different species.
Oh, really?
Now, there are a lot of animals here in the forest who love figs, wild figs. Among those are bats. Bats love those small fig trees, and their habit is that they would go in the forest, pick up the fig, then come into the house to find a place they consider well sheltered. And this is such a place. They consider this as really wonderful. They think the feng shui is perfect.
You mean they love eating here?
Yeah, they would come in a place like this or like that, and then they hang up, upside down, and then they chew the figs, and then they spit on the floor. So in the morning, it's all dirty. So this thing is actually to keep the bats away, or to teach them to go and eat outside.
So where do they eat right now?
Not only they can eat wherever they want,
the forest,
but not, you know, inside my house.
That's interesting.
This is an antique that
Oh,
panel
it's antique.
that we bought many years ago in Shanghai. I think it probably come from Suzhou, Hangzhou area, and it's full of bats, by the way. Very, very nice work. Not very old, but very beautiful work.
You just mentioned there are bats around, right? So, mentioning this, how many animal species have you spotted here?
No idea.
No
There are so
idea?
many, and it changes all the time. You know, animals are not like trees. They tend to move around, and they also would move in and out of the property.
Yes.
Small animals, a lot
birds?
of them might really adopt our place and remain here, like frogs or lizard or gecko.
Gecko.
We have small gecko and we have big gecko. And the big gecko are kind of a specialty of Southeast Asia. They sing during the rainy season. They have a very loud voice. And they're interesting animal. The Dai people protect them. They think they bring a good luck to your house.
Ah, gecko will bring good luck to your house, right? They believe.
The big gecko. So I actually brought them back to this hill. Because when we came, there were only rubber plantation. There was no gecko at all.
You really have a nice view here.
Yeah.
Wow. This is
indeed.
this
Come.
Lantang River, right?
Come from there, we can see the view better. But I was keeping you here because I wanted to show you this little tree over there with the red fruit.
Oh,
You know what that
it
is?
looks like coffee tree.
It is coffee.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
This is not the best climate for coffee. Well, the elevation is a little bit too low.
It's ripe to be harvested. It's the harvest season for
Exactly,
coffee, right?
Exactly. You can see that.
We know that Yunnan is the largest producing area of coffee in China. Yeah.
Of course. A friend of mine, well, with his father too, the two generations were instrumental in developing coffee in Yunnan, in Sima. Sima is the heart of the coffee industry in Yunnan.
Yes.
So this is the place. This is the place with the nicest view.
This is the Lantang River, right? Lantangjiang.
It is
Lantang
indeed.
River. And it's known as Mekong River.
Yeah.
When it flows through the Southeast Asian
Internationally,
countries.
it's known as the Mekong River because it goes all the way to Vietnam from here.
Oh.
But within China, within Yunnan, it's known as the Lantang River.
Yeah, Lantang River.
It's still a baby river. The bridge you see there is only about 200 meters long.
It's one of the major rivers in China. It originates in Jinghao, Jinghao Tibetan Plateau.
Yeah.
Wow.
And from this place, you can see Jinghao, part of Jinghao, and kilometers of the Langcang River, and practically all the bridges of Jinghao you can see here.
Wow.
We bought this piece of land, precisely this one, because of this place. This is a very nice place, and the feng shui is perfect. The feng shui, according to Lobo, that's my understanding of feng shui depends on the wind, on the rain, on the sunshine. Well, this place is very cool. Although Jinghao can be really warm, the city can be very warm.
So looking back, how do you?
I have an idea.
Sure.
While we are here, don't you want to have a look at the structure? You see, because that's interesting. We're talking about architecture.
Sure.
You know, I told you we use the Dai village's traditional material. This is old wood. You know, that is like, it must be like 55 years old.
Wow.
55 years ago it was cut. The tree was even older, of course. And all the pillars are different from different kind of wood. But the design of this house, the design of all our wooden houses is really different from the traditional Dai house.
So you got these materials, like
We
this old
bought
wood
a lot of old
from
houses.
local people.
Yeah, we bought old houses they didn't want anymore because of the rubber. They had a bit of money. About 20 years ago to 15 years ago, a lot of the dye villages had pieces of land with rubber, and the rubber price went through the roof. And they started to have money, so they wanted to upgrade the house. And they wanted a modern house. But they didn't really know what a modern house was. The only example they had was like school or offices built by the local government like 20 years before. So they just wanted square concrete house. And they wanted to get rid of the wood.
From the protection perspective, biodiversity protection perspective, I think the wooden house is more friendly to our environment, to nature, I think, right?
If you use old wood, it's friendly. If you have to cut the forest to get the new wood, of course it's not friendly. Then you better use bamboo.
I mean, compared to the concrete houses, right?
There are no different kind of concrete. There are some environmental friendly concrete that are being developed now. But the worst is probably to cut the forest and to buy new wood.
Yes.
So you see all those pillars, they have those holes. Because they were used in the structure of the house before. The cross beam were going here. Probably this pillar was longer, and we cut the bottom because the bottom was eaten by termite.
So termites are often seen in this region, right?
Yeah, termites are everywhere here.
But you don't kill them.
Well, that's a complex story. How would I say? In Jinghao, at this elevation with this climate, the termites are everywhere in the land. The termites are the real landowners. We are here only for a very short time. They have been here for millions of years. They will be here some more millions of years. And they are amazing. There are billions of them in the soil. And they can eat about anything that is wood. We don't have really wood here that they wouldn't eat. There's some they prefer, they go faster, some they go slower, but they can eat everything. Now the problem if you build wooden houses, you really need to take them into account. If you don't, you're in big trouble.
Yeah, so how do you solve this problem?
I don't like, and I don't think it's really useful to use a lot of chemicals. What I do is I study the termites, and I look at their life cycle, what they like, they don't like, what they fear, and so on. And then I learn enough so that I can use this knowledge to adapt the design. I already use some of the traditional design of the dye houses because they also know. But since my houses are different, I also need to learn more so that the part of the design that is different would not allow the termite to go in. Because they are amazing. The termites are just amazing. We are fairly good neighbors. I wouldn't say we are friends, but we are fairly good neighbors. They live just outside there.
You never use chemicals to kill them?
Only if I find them inside, then I use a little bit. Okay. But I don't use chemical in the soil or chemical to keep them away.
I see.
Because I also think it doesn't work.
Right. They become your good neighbors right now.
Come. Let's. This, by the way, this place is the restaurant of our little guest house, where people can have breakfast, can have lunch or dinner if they want to. As you can see, it's completely open, so the temperature is the same inside and outside. There is no separation inside and outside. So with this climate, that means in winter we have only 2 months relatively cool. In this climate, that means you wear maybe 2 sweaters for breakfast, and you take out 1 sweater at noon and the second sweater in the afternoon.
Relatively cool, even not cold, right?
Yeah. The climate is really pretty good. And in summer, it's not so warm either. It's much cooler than Shanghai, Beijing, all the big cities.
Yeah, we know that Xishuangbanna today is now a popular destination for people to spend their winter. Yeah. Could you show us more of your trees?
Sure.
Yeah. So, what kind of changes have you seen after 20 years since your adventure here started? What kind of changes the forests have brought to you?
The number of trees, of course. You mean the change in that little garden forest? Mm-hmm. Do you?
How has the forests? What kind of changes have the brought?
The number of trees, of course, has increased tremendously, but also, I would say the soil has been changing. Mm-hmm. You see the soil here. Mm-hmm. See, we let the litter accumulate. Mm-hmm. So this soil is slowly getting much better than what it was at the beginning. Mm-hmm. At the beginning, you had only the red soil, very hard, very dry.
Yeah.
Like that. And now it's getting better. And the result also is that when it rains, this thing will also fall apart. And you end up with, it takes a long time, but you end up with a soil that is much closer to the forest. And the result, of course, is that then you get a lot of new seedling coming out. The first few years we had almost nothing coming up. Mm-hmm. But now sometimes in the forest I have so many seedlings that I need to keep taking them out just to keep the path open.
Okay.
We can go have a look.
Sure. So the soil is...
Sorry, the dog under my office will bark a little bit, at least until he sees me.
So the soil is changing.
The big vine. That big vine, I let it go. In many places, I fight them. But here I have old rubber trees. Those trees you see here are rubber trees that I did not cut. Why are they here? I didn't cut them because they help me to stabilize that slope. We have a very strong slope and there is a road down below. So they contribute to stabilization. So this is not a place where I would cut them. But I do sometimes cut the head so that I have a little bit of sunshine here for the other plants. For instance, those wild orchids. This is what I call my wild orchid clinic. I do not let my staff...
What's this? Sorry.
I do not let my staff go into the forest and rip the orchid away.
Right.
But when we find them on the floor in the forest, we can bring them and put them on a piece of wood and try to give them a second life. Now, those are the roots. Those are the roots of the orchids. This is the mother plants, and it's making babies. This is one of the way it makes babies. After a while, if the roots, can meet some other part of a tree, then they will grow on the tree, and this will dry, or you can cut it, and you have another orchid growing on the tree. So this species is doing well. It's doing a lot of babies, and it's very healthy. Some others are not doing well. That's why I call this place a clinic or a hospital.
Clinic.
You can see those are old rubber tree by the scar.
Yeah.
The scar where
rubber
people used to tap rubber. When they tap rubber, they come twice a day. They come one time to do a cut, and they come the second time maybe 12 hours later, and then they have accumulated the sap, the white sap, into a little ball, and they take the sap, they harvest the sap. So they must visit each tree twice in 24 hours, every day, until the dry season. Then dry season they stop. They stop because there is no more sap there. Often there is a time without leaves, so the tree must rest. I don't know what is this one, but gone.
So there are many different kinds of insects here, right?
Fabulous amount of insect. I mean, fabulous diversity of insect. I think I have picture of 100 species in my computer. Really nice.
I think that's a...
When the orchids do well after a few years, because they are very slow, then we would put them back into the tree. You see here? You see this one? This is also a kind of orchid. With very small flowers, but it is an orchid, and now it's doing very well. We put another piece of wood here.
It just grows
to try to get a baby here, and then we can move it somewhere else. Over there you can see another kind of orchid that was put into the trees many years ago. And this has grown pretty impressive. With the roots here, all those are the roots over the old rubber tree.
You just mentioned there are hundreds of species of insects. I think insects actually is an indicator of our good environment, right?
Yeah, of course, because if the climate is too harsh, too dry, too cold, or too warm, you will have much less species. And also, if you have a plant's biodiversity, then you will have a lot to eat for the insects. So you would get a hell of a lot of different species of insect if your environment is good. In a tropical forest, it's unbelievable. Let me say hello to the dog.
Okay, sure.
Shh. Oh. And quiet. 不用麻烦。好。
It's cute. So do you usually walk in your streets, in your forests?
Shh.
I mean, do you walk in your forests like this every day?
Not every day. I wish I had more time, but yeah, when I'm free, I really enjoy spending half an hour or an hour going around and checking where there is a need to help or to fix things. Or, yeah, there are many things. Hey, by the way, I can show you a few trees. Shall we go in a little bit inside?
Sure. Let's go. So now you don't have to spend as much time as you did in the beginning, right? We just started your experiment here, your adventure, right?
I don't need to spend much time buying trees or you know, looking for other trees in the forest. Although that was also one way I picked up new seedling. Each time I would go into the real forest in Xishuangbanna, there are still very nice real forests. I would fill up my pocket with seeds, and then I would have my own little nursery here on this land, and grow my own seedling and sapling, and get help from a specialist to tell me what species is this seedling. I have no idea. And then with this I would decide if I want them or not and where to plant them. This, you see, those mushrooms are growing on a dead tree. Now this is interesting because this dead tree actually grew by itself. It's a pioneer species, grew very fast, then died very young, and then the termites ate it from inside.
Let me take a look.
And then the tree itself fell down. Let me pick one for you.
Are they edible? I don't think they're edible.
No, and very dry. But you can keep them as a souvenir.
Okay. So special.
This is a small pavilion, a gazebo to look at the river. But what I want to show you now is maybe a couple of trees in there. Today is cool, so there are few mosquitoes. You don't need mosquito repellent. This is what was a rubber tree, one of the rubber tree I left here, but we were cutting the head several times. After a while, it couldn't stand it anymore, and it just died. And the termite ate it from inside. All the soil that you see here is actually brought by the termites. This is the termite highway. This is how the termites protect themselves against the dryness of the air and against the black ants that would eat them. If we are lucky, maybe we can see some termite. I'm not sure on this one, but I can try. If you see the soil like this, if you see it with a darker color, it means there is humidity. If there is humidity, that means the termite just brought it, and that means they are there. But here it's all dry, so I'm not sure I will find them. Let's see. Yes, there are a few of them. Look.
Yeah.
Those are the little monsters that can eat your house. Look at them. And there are billions of them. They are the real owner of the land here.
Since you just said that there are some 300 tree species. So I want to know, do you have any preference? Like, do you have...
They're all a little bit my babies, so you don't have preference between your children, do you? I wanted to show you this one, because this one is quite spectacular and it's a bit special. This big tree.
Why it's so straight?
This big tree, I didn't plant.
Oh.
This one came by itself, and I have no idea where the...
You didn't plant it?
Sorry?
You didn't plant it?
No.
No?
No. I don't know where the parents was. I suppose it was by the slope above the road. But at that time, when they built the road below Yourantai, they cut everything on the slope. So the parents are probably gone. But I have several of these species, and this species is special. It's called Jiandumu, which is like poison arrow tree. Oh. Because they use, in the past, they use its sap. You have to ferment it, you have to know how to process it. But they use the sap as a poison for your arrow, for hunting or even for war. It's quite a powerful poison. But like this, no problem at all. Maybe there are some places, you know, to frighten the tourists. They will put a sign saying, "Be careful, don't get too close." No. No problem. This is a friend.
Yeah, it's obviously you love each of them. So you have spent almost 20 years here, and you've created such a big forest, rainforest here. So looking back, are you proud of yourself?
I'm not sure I'm proud of myself, but I'm proud of this forest. I think they are
made it.
I think they are great. I didn't make it. I only created.
You made this happen.
Yeah, I created the condition. You know, I think it is not. You don't have to do active work to do a forest. You can just create the condition. You have to understand all the forces at work, and if you can play on those a little bit, then you can let nature and time do the work. then you don't do the forest.
So
You just allow it to happen.
nature is the greatest. That's why we have to protect nature. We have to respect nature, right?
Well, we better have to learn, because if we make war with nature, not a good idea.
Yes.
If we lose, we lose. Bad. If we win, we also lose. So this tree, the big one over there, it's probably the last rubber tree just here. I let it because I needed one big tree. I didn't want to have nothing growing there. And then after that I planted, you can see there is a climber growing on the side of the tree. That climber is actually, it's also an orchid, but it's an orchid vine, an orchid climber. It's vanilla. It's a wild vanilla. And last year was the first time it bloomed after 15 years. You have to be patient. So I don't want to cut it anymore. But from time to time, I get my gardener to climb up and kind of cut the head a little bit, because otherwise this guy grows too big and he gives too much shadow to the other trees. The one beside, which is a bit dark with smaller leaf, is the real Wang Tianshu.
Oh.
I don't know in English. In Latin, the
Wang Tianshu, the tree is very famous.
yes, it's the tallest species in China.
Yeah.
The name, I don't know if there is any name in English, but the scientific name, the Latin name is Parasorea sinensis. It's the same family of the dipterocarp. Do you want to go down and say hello to it, or?
Let's try. Let's go.
We can do that.
We know that there's a special reserve for Wang Tianshu in Xishuangbanna.
Oh
right?
yeah, it's a great place. It's a small forest, really small, but absolutely beautiful. And they have a bridge. They have a hanging bridge up in the tree, maybe at 30-meter elevation tall. So from the hanging bridge, you walk up between two trees and you look at the other trees from above. It's very nice. It's a very nice little forest. Did you go to the Wang Tianshu forest?
No,
well,
never.
If you have opportunity, you have to go.
Yeah. I will get up to find an opportunity to visit there.
We should try to make more of this kind of forest in Banna.
So, Gerard, you were born in Switzerland and used to work in Central America, and also spent several years in Beijing. So, how do you like your life here in Xishuangbanna?
Well, if I didn't like it, I wouldn't be here. Xishuangbanna is a nice place. The only thing I don't really like is in the traditional cuisine, a lot of dishes are sour and spicy. This is not.
You don't like that
this is
flavor?
not my cup of tea.
Okay.
But I have a very good chef here in my little guest house. A young lady who worked with me for already 16 years. And she can make bread, and she can make very good Chinese dish from Shanghai. She can also make an Italian dish and French dish. And now you can tap our wine, so perfect. I can survive.
So, which is
a little bit further ahead.
Wang Tianshu.
Wait.
Oh.
There is spider. Cobweb.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Here is the little baby.
Take care.
Hello.
So you're not afraid of it?
No. I think this kind of species, they can even eat them.
So you don't worry if they are poisonous?
They're very rare, the one that are a problem, the spider. So here, you don't have to be afraid of spider at all.
Oh, I have to
And now
be
this
very
is,
careful
this is a
not
Wangtian shoe.
destroy these babies.
It's not very big, and because this grows slowly. I have another
How old
one.
is it
Oh,
for this one?
I think we planted it in 2005.
Okay,
So it-
17.
17 years, and when we planted it, it was already 1 or 2 years. So this guy is almost 20 years. This grows slowly. The
Hello.
cousin, the dipterocarp, whose baby you saw by our main path, is down there. Not the first tree. The first tree here is another wild fig tree. The second one there is the parent with the big leaves.
Wow.
And that grows faster than the Wangtian shoe.
That one looks very cool. It's so
Now-
tall.
Oh, but that one will get much taller. Because you see the fig tree on the top, it branches into several trunks. It won't grow much taller than that.
Okay.
The other guy will keep going up.
Actually, it's hard to believe that all these trees are still very young. It's just like less than years.
Because you come from a cooler climate, and in a cooler climate like in Switzerland, after 20 years you only get a small tree.
Okay. So you have spent 20 years here. Looking at the future, what will you do to make the Yourantai, make your forests better? Do you have any plans?
This is an easy question, but a more complex. It deserves a more complex answer. Because you see, if you want to improve biodiversity, we already have a much better diversity here than at the start. So, using time, money, resources to try to get this thing even better, you will not get such a huge difference. The marginal benefit will be minimum. You can just let it happen, do nothing, but rather try to multiply this kind of project. Do other biodiversity project in Xishuangbanna. Like there are several interesting projects that could be done, like conversion of non-commercial, money-losing rubber plantation back into tropical forest, for instance. This will bring more benefit, more results with the same amount of money and time than just trying to do something even better here. This place, if you just protect it, it will grow better by itself.
I know that you will cooperate with some like scientific research institutes, right? For some similar programs. So what kind of experience would you share with them for related programs?
Yeah, well, they are interested in doing exactly that, reconverting poor rubber plantation back into forest. So quite a bit of the experiences accumulated here are relevant. For instance, you know, what kind of challenge? Also, here I know pretty well, I'm very familiar with all those species of tree. I know which one do well, which one do poorly, and which one need help or not. But I also see what kind of challenge we had in those 19 years. Like, for instance, For instance, drought. You know, at the beginning, when, especially if you cut all the rubber tree, you have a bad soil, and then it's very dry, and it's very hot in summer, or especially at the end of the dry season. So it's extremely difficult for a small seedling to come back. So drought can be a very serious challenge. You have to understand it beforehand. So how are you going to cope with this? Another challenge, of course, is people. You cannot just build wall around forests everywhere. So you have to make it with the local people. You have to make the local people your allies and not your foes. And that needs a whole strategy. Another one is, once you have a little forest that starts growing, the vines, the climbers, they grow much faster than the trees, and they can smother your young trees, and when there is some wind, then your young trees will break. So you have to take this into account, and you have to develop a strategy to control this. So there are many parameters of experience accumulated in doing this during 19 years that can be extrapolated or can bring some element of solution doing other such projects in Xishuangbanna. And I hope I'll be able to help.
Yeah, actually there are still a lot of things we can do and we need to do, right? Okay, dear friends, today we just showed you around a special place, a premise in southwest China's Xishuangbanna, and the premise is called Yourantai, owned by Mr. Gerard Burgermeister. Gerard Burgermeister, sorry. During the past 20 years, he has spent most of his time here recreating a great rainforest, as we just showed you. Actually, we know that the whole world is now facing an alarming biodiversity loss, and the governments and non-government organizations from all over the world are making their efforts to save our world, to protect the earth, our planet. But I believe individuals, every one of us in the society can play an active part, as Mr. Burgermeister. And as we can see, you've done a lot. You've done a great experiment here, right? And you can see beautiful trees, animals. That's your own practice in protecting nature and biodiversity. And we really appreciate what you've done here. And we look forward to coming back maybe sometime later and to see something new and to see more surprise. Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Mr.
very much.
Burgermeister. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
Welcome to the visit.
Welcome to Yourantai in Xishuangbanna. Okay, thank you. See you next time.
Bye-bye.